Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the New York Virtual Photo Salon. I'm Lavon Hall, your host for this event. Thank you everyone for tuning in last time. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you check it out. I am super excited to present a great photographer and filmmaker, Pamela Bloom. Leave us comments, subscribe, and like this channel. So get comfy and enjoy the show. Thanks for watching.
Hi, my name is Pamela Bloom, and most of you probably know me as Pamela Berry or Pamela Ann Berry. I was recently married, so the name changed. But when Levon asked me to do this, I actually froze in fear. I was terrified because my first thought was, oh my gosh, there's so many other amazing photographers out there. I'm just a photographer who, makes ends meet, and I'm not anything spectacular. I'm constantly feel like I have a lot to learn still. Every time I do a photo shoot, I always look back and I'm hypercritical of it, and I'm like, "Oh, the light should have been a little higher there, or I should have done this or I should have done that." And I realized, okay, instead of saying no, I should push through this imposter syndrome and be uncomfortable and share my work. That's the hardest thing. I really, really struggle sharing my work because I don't think I'm good enough. Even though I make money at it and I love teaching photography and I love helping others, be better at what they do, and I get so much satisfaction in seeing people go to the next level. And so this past week I've had some serious internal dialogue about myself and about my photography, and realize, well, then, you know what? Maybe I should share my work and say, hey, look, this is me. I make money as a photographer. I'm not going to be, the best out there. And I know that, but it doesn't mean I can't strive for it. And it doesn't mean I can't continue to improve upon my work because it is truly what I love to do. And maybe it's an insecurity issue, but I also know I'm not the only one who feels that way. And there's a reason why, we go and have our portfolio reviewed. There's a reason why we join these groups on Facebook or other social media platforms. There's a reason why we go to photography shows because we do want to learn more and we do want to understand, how we look at our work and how we can, see things that we can work on. And that's what's amazing about the photography we do. Now, as my images come up, you're going to notice it's all over the place. It really is. When we first started in photography, we're told either, find a niche of what you really like and go for that, or start out shooting everything and then you'll know what you like. Well, when I started in photography, and such a heartfelt journey to me, and it's very personal. And I've shared it before. As with Photo Focus, I did share a little bit about how my photography saved my life. But when I started photography, I started back to go to school and finish my degree in film. And I decided to take a non-major digital photography class because I'm very much interested in photography and I want to know more. So I bought on eBay a Nikon D50. What I didn't know at the time, it was gray market. Learned a lot since then. But it was an amazing camera and I outgrew it really fast. And in this photography class, I became friends with my instructor and she was looking at my work and she was like, you need to do more with this. And it was nice to feel validated that something I was really interested in, I feel like I was kind of good at it. Um, so I declared a double major in film and photography, and I went through a divorce, which was terrible, as most divorces are. But it was definitely a new path, a new life. And instead of, I don't want to say I was finding who I was, instead, I was uncovering the person that I've always been. And photography helped me with that. One of my first jobs after my divorce was taking pictures at a ski resort. And I learned a lot there. I learned a lot about gray balance. I learned a lot about cropping because we had to crop these pictures and we couldn't just take a picture and with the aspect ratios and get an 8:10, without cutting off families or feet or skis. And so I'm grateful for that. And after that, I went and worked at a local camera store where I picked up a lot of my photoshopping skills. And again, it was also a print shop. So I understood some of these basics of printing and I learned so much. I was getting paid like crap, but I learned so much, more than I did in school and whatnot. And I also, working at the camera store, I was introduced to people in the industry. I was introduced to some of the wonderful reps and sales account managers within the various camera departments or camera companies and lenses. And to those friendships from 10 plus years ago, they're still friends of mine today. And I will always be grateful for that, because networking like that, and I didn't even know it was networking, it was really relationship building. Those people have no idea the impact that they had on my life at the time and my life still today. They've helped me grow as a person. They've helped me grow as a photographer. They've helped me grow as an artist. And that to me is such an essential part of what we do in photography is relationships. We need to build the relationships with our clients. We need to build relationships, with obviously our family, but with, manufacturers and people who are going to help us go to that next level. It really is about the relationships. So yes, back in 2010-ish, that time frame when I'm kind of figuring all this out, when there was a lot of moms with cameras infiltrating the world of photography, and people saw that as a negative, but I saw that as a wonderful, wonderful opportunity. People were finding what we love about photography, and they were taking pictures of their kids, and they were going to the events with the strollers and their babies. And you know what? I thought it was amazing. And with the cameras and constantly changing on the lenses, that was actually a really exciting part of our business. Eventually, I became full-time freelance in my photography and my video, and I loved it, and it was amazing. And each day, I kept asking myself, as a freelance, as most of us do, is like, okay, I need to make more money than I am paying out my bills. And that's my thought process every day. I'm sure, as we know, the freelance life, it's up and down, and it's kind of bipolar. But that's the thrilling part of it. I loved it, and I was getting better, and I had my repeat clients, and I was growing into the commercial business. But I also had a really dark time in my life where I was struggling with depression and, life circumstances and whatnot. Photography literally saved my life. There's no other way to put it. It was the thing that kept me going. Whether it was going out taking landscape pictures and feeling peace in the mountains or on the lake, or if it was taking pictures of my kids, going out and bringing my camera when we're going sledding, or, having a client call me up and I take pictures of, this one gentleman who hadn't had his headshot updated in 15 years because he had a stroke, and strobes were too much for him and his body. So he couldn't handle getting his picture taken. And so I, moved over into the world of constant lights, and I was able to take a headshot and to have his wife cry because it meant so much to her. This is why we're in this business. It's relationships and taking pictures that capture that moment of that second and telling that story. That's what photography really is. We could be the most perfectly technical photographer in the world, but it doesn't mean anything if you can't capture that meaning and what that relationship means, and that moment in time of what you're feeling, whether it is a landscape or whether it is just, your kids running around in the backyard, being able to share that, being able to capture that, whether it's just for you personally or whether it's for your client. We feel like how fortunate of us that we have this wonderful art to express not only for ourselves, but for the people around us. And as you can see in the pictures that are being shown, I never really decided on what I wanted to take pictures of for the rest of my life. I still, to this day, want to take pictures of everything. I still want to go out and take pictures of the stars. I want to do more of that desperately. I still want to take pictures of my clients and do their headshots. I still want to go and do, the gay clubs that I do here in Salt Lake. I love it. I love it so much. And so for me, I'm never going to be, oh, she's just a landscape photographer or she does portraits. No, I want to take pictures of, my underwear clients. I want to take pictures of my lawyers and I want to take pictures of people's kids, and I want to take pictures of landscapes because to me, I guess I'm a life photographer, and I will always be a life photographer. And I feel grateful that I can take pictures of my kids as they graduate school and other things that happen in life, because you know what? It's who I am. And as I ramble on and talk about my journey as a photographer, I think the best part too of being where I'm at in my career, that I mentioned earlier, is sharing my knowledge. And again, I may not be, one of the best photographers in the world, but I am a working photographer, and I do love being in the classroom and sharing my excitement and those little tips of posing and the mental aspects of it, things like where chin placement and playing with the lights and things with the eyes, and seeing the class absorb that. That's contagious. And when I teach some of my headshot classes, I don't bring the models in. I bring up people in the class because no one likes their picture taken. Well, most people. I don't like my picture taken. I hate it. I despise it. I'm uncomfortable. But if I'm uncomfortable, you can bet your butts, that your client is uncomfortable. And if we understand and we feel that, then we can become better photographers because we know what that feels like. And that way we can connect with our client even better. It's things like that get me so excited. I was recently on a TV show out of New Zealand. It was called Photo Number 6. And it started back where I was second AC on this pilot. And I had no idea what this show was about. I was just excited. I was hired on this project. And turns out it's all about photography and travel photography. And the host and I got along really well. In fact, throughout the pilot we were shooting, he was asking me questions. And man, I was in heaven. I was on a TV show talking about photography. Like, it was, wow, best of both worlds. Well, almost a year later, the host calls me up and he's like, hey, our show is bought and we're in full season now. And you mentioned that you teach nighttime photography. And I said, yeah, absolutely. He's like, would you like to be a guest on the show? Oh my gosh, of course. Yes. So I go on the show, and it was a lot of fun. Even though I said, hey, we need to do night photography when the moon is 30% or less. And we ended up shooting on a full moon. That was fun. So we had literally an hour to record and shoot before the moon rise. And we got some pretty incredible shots. Well, basically one shot. But the biggest thing that people got out of it is when you're trying to light up the foreground, with your LED lights, and it's oftentimes pretty harsh. I was like, get your pillowcase from the hotel room and put it over the light and it softens it. And the response I got was incredible. But it's those little things when you teach photography and we share with others, that's fun. It's like a positive energy, and people love hearing that because it's those little things that make our work go from, oh wow, that's a pretty good picture, to, wow, that's a really great picture. And I guess it's the little moments, not only in the photography and what we do and how we approach it and the little things in our relationships, um, but it's kind of all full circle. Like everything comes together when you build those relationships, not only with yourself, with your clients, with the people around you, with how you teach, with the relationship between you and your camera, with the relationship between you and the lights. Like when that is cohesive, that's that brings your photography to the next level. And 90% of the time, people, yes, they're hiring you because you're a decent photographer, but they're hiring you because of you. They're hiring you because of you. And that's something I have to tell myself. Even now I teach it, but I have to tell myself to me because of imposter syndrome. And I know it's probably I don't know, a lot deeper than that as far as how I feel about myself. But at the end of the day, people hire me for me and people hire you for you. And if we keep working towards learning and growing and being excited about what we do, who cares what anybody else thinks, right? Just keep doing what you love. Absolutely. Do what you love because that's what makes life worth it.
Thank you so much, Pamela, for such an inspirational presentation. I'm sure many artists can resonate with some of your struggles, but they're afraid to share. Hopefully, you've encouraged them. Well, please leave comments, give this a thumbs up, and subscribe to see our upcoming artists. Thank you all for tuning in and the New York Virtual Photo Salon Committee. I'm Lavon Hall, and we'll see you next time.